afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another VPE training. And I trust that this is the VPE training that is going to help you to finish strong and smart. I am going to just immediately cut to chase. And I want to ask you, for those of you that are here, please, if you have any questions as I'm busy presenting, type it in the chat box so that I can see that I can keep my eye on it and that I can interact with it as it goes along, as it happens. So remember to type in the chat box any questions you have as I am presenting. Now, the basis of today, and we try and do this in a half an hour so that it's quick in, quick out, and there's substance for you to go on to afterwards. I will have a short Word document or PDF, shall I say, that will have a little bit of an outline and some live links where you can click to go and collect or reach the things that I'm going to show you or share with you. There is no slide presentation today. So be warned, there will be no death by PowerPoint today. It's impossible. There's no PowerPoint. Then we move on. The first thing that we need to know is, as one comes to the end of the year, you need to bring a new set of club officers in. Now, it doesn't mean that if you have 7 now, they all 7 fall away and brand new 7 people come in. If that happens in a club, it could probably be detrimental to the club. If you have club officers, 7 club officers in the club, and 5 of them are transitioning to other positions, like maybe the sergeant at arms decides to become the treasurer, or the secretary decides to become VPPR. That is excellent because it's the same team and you are busy growing, developing. You remember the stories from last year. You know what you're busy working with. So if at all cost, one can keep the team and let them grow and transition, that is excellent. It doesn't always happen that way, but that is ideal. And so we do take it on as in, if that you could have this transition that the VPE can become the president, and the VPM becomes the VPE, and the VPPR becomes the VPM, so that there's this transition taking place moving upwards, which that is healthy. But I know it doesn't always work that way. So what happens and how do we do it? According to the Club Officer Leadership Handbook, the immediate past president becomes the chairperson of this election committee. Now, a little while back when I shared with you about this, I gave you a link to a Google form, and I'm going to share my screen so that we can have a look at that Google form and just run through it quickly to understand what we want to achieve by it if you haven't done so yet. The purpose of this Google form, I just want to make this thing a bit smaller here, but now I don't see where. Oh, there's the little thing I'm looking for to make some space that I could see what's going on here. And now the chat is hidden, but it's okay. If a chat comes up, I'll quickly open up and have a look. The reason why I have this is if there isn't an immediate past president, or if there isn't many people that can spearhead this process in the ExCo, discuss this situation and see who is there that can spearhead this process. The first step is to find out in the club who would like to increase their capacity as a leader and would like to grow themselves. Now, you must make sure that any executive club officer that's currently there is a paid member. They can't be a club officer if they did not pay their dues come 1st April. That's important. And any member of your club can only be a member if they have paid come past 1 April. That means of those that are on the club roster currently at Toastmasters International are the ones that are eligible for the executive club officer roles. And in order to very quickly find out how the people in the club, in your club, are available, there is just this form which you can take the link, it will open up, and then there is a place where it says copy, and you just make a copy of it and save the copy where you want to on your drive, and then turn it into your club's form and use it from there. Now, when you get the use of this form, you will be able to see that the from the form side, you can see the responses as the people respond, and you can create settings the way you want to, or you can just leave it as it is and make some basic changes for your club. All we're asking for is the contact details, who they are, and you want to see how long are they a member? Are they a new member, less than 6 months, existing member? That's it. And then if it's an existing member, you want to ask, well, you actually want to ask, since when, because you want to see what is their depth there. It helps you to make some decisions if needs be. Then you want to know, where are they at? Are they at a place where they're ready to assist an existing ExCo? Because most of the executive club officers will need a small team to help them. And this is crucial. So if you can already identify a team member here, that's great. Or if they would like to serve as a Club ExCo member, then where do they want to serve? And so I have the position here and very small what it entails for them to know. Then stating, I'm aware that it will require additional time, because you need to make them aware. It's not just nothing is going to drop out of heaven. You are that because you leading people to accomplish a particular goal. There's work involved and it needs to be done. And you want to know, you want them to think about it and that they are willing to do that. And then share briefly why you would like to serve on this. Because if you then see that they have a reason and they want to maybe be the treasurer, and you say, well, for that reason, you should actually be the VPM, not the treasurer. Maybe there's a conversation that needs to be dealt with there. And then please share your expertise that you bring with, and have you identified any potential leaders? So you want to go through this, and then it has the capacity for you to export the results onto a Excel spreadsheet, which is what I then do. And then I insert a column at the end, and I put down who's going to be doing what and what do I need. And that makes it easy for the immediate past president to go in and contact people and secure those that would like to stand, and to try and encourage other people for the position. In order for your club to be recognized with Toastmasters International, you must have a president, any VP, VP, VPE, VPPR, doesn't matter. So a president, any VP, and the secretary. Those three club officer roles must be filled. And once you have those filled, you must upload them to Toastmasters International, because that is another bonus point for your club on the DCP program, Achieving a Goal. Now, this is the simplified part in finding out who is a potential club officer, how you can identify them, etc. Now you need to go through the process. Now I'm quickly just going to open up where the process is. Just a second. I did have it open. There it is. And then I can share. Now this is your Club Leadership Handbook. Page 53 is where the election process starts. Here they talk about the nominations, how that works, and how the election process works. It's not a lot to read. It's really basically 2 pages that needs to be read by the immediate past president in order to know what takes place. However, once so there's the election process. I'll tell you that in a moment. And then it tells you how frequent you must have the elections, because if you're a club that has so many so often meetings, you have so often frequency. It's just something that you need to read through. And the vacancies, any vacancies in office, because sometimes there's a treasurer that says, you know what, I want to be a treasurer for one more year. I would add more value if I do that. It is possible. There's 2 vacancies that cannot fulfill the same role again. And that is, your president must change. Somebody new must become the president. And the immediate past president can only be the immediate past president. Somebody else can't slip in there. And then after that process has been done, there is a club officer installation where there is even a script on how it's done. And you can invite the newly elected or whoever of your area director or division director to come and do that, because that would add just something of value to the club and the process and everything that goes with that. Okay, so as you can see, there is not a lot to read in the actual handbook of how it's done. I'm now going to just take you through, on the day of the elections, some of the things that you need to have in place. Most of the time in most clubs, you actually have a list of just one people going down the list. It's not very often that you have more than one person contending for a position and an election needs to be held. However, the entire process must be in an election. So take note of this. This is so important. 1, there's nobody in the club that can just decide who must be the ExCo and then present it to the club members and say, hi, the following people are the new club executive officers. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. It may not be done. So be careful for that. How must it be done constitutionally? Even if you just have a list of 111 people, this is how it works. You will present the positions in the order. And as you present them in the order, let's say you are busy with the sergeant at arms, stating that the following position of club officer is being presented. And as club officer, Jane Doe is our candidate and is unopposed. Is there anybody here that has an objection to Jane Doe standing in the office of Sergeant at Arms? You have to do the objection first. Then if there's nobody with an objection, then it means everybody's okay with it. And then when that takes place, then you normally ask the secretary to cast the vote, because there must be a voting. And even if it's just the secretary that casts the vote, that's fine. So presidents cannot serve a second term as a president, no. If a president came in like 2 or 3 months before the end of the term, it is okay. Or if a club newly chartered and there's just a small period of time, it's okay. But presidents and immediate past presidents, no. They can serve as another ExCo role. Yes, they can go from president to VPR, VPPR, or anything like that. That is important. And then the next year they can be back president again, if that needs be. Because often we find that somebody is a president, when they come to the end of their term, or for any other ExCo role, they say, now I only know what I'm supposed to do. I haven't done as well as I wanted to do. And then they want to redo it. So it's only the president that cannot redo it the next year, but they can redo it the year after by just jumping into another position and then going back there. And that adds huge value to the club when that happens that way. Now, we've looked at what you need to do before the time. How do you need to assemble your list? What you need to do on the day in handling the process, making sure you first check if there's any opposition. And if there's no opposition, then you ask the secretary to cast the vote. And then you congratulate Jane Doe as now officially the sergeant at arms of the clubs, unopposed. And then you move on to the next role. And learn how to handle the Roberts Rule of Order. There is a video that Keith Bowen has done on that. And I want to encourage you, insist on when you have club business in your normal meeting. Now, we like to have Toastmasters meetings with fun and lots of vigor and excitement and things like that. And yes, keep them like that. But when you move into the club business section, practice to do it according to the Roberts Rule of Order. Even if you can't do it all at once, even if the VPE takes it on that every time they stand up and they educate one point, in Roberts Rule of Order, you speak through the chairperson. The chairperson today will be Madam President or whatever the case may be. So if you have anything to say, do not speak to other members in the club. Do not speak to each other. Speak through the chair. Let's practice that. So just begin to educate people on Robert's Rule of Order. Why? If they're in corporate, if they're in business, they're bound to encounter that platform. And especially if they go into politics or government or anything like that, that is the standard. And it can be incredibly intimidating when things happen and jargon is used and you don't have a cooking clue what it means. So become comfortable with Robert's Rule of Order the whole year by implementing little bite-sized pieces that can be explained and implemented. Then we've done with the elections. After you've done with the elections, what do you do next? You organize somebody to do the installation and you want to make a big hoo-ha. And at that big hoo-ha, make sure that the president is thanking the crew that they just had and is welcoming the next lot on board, and you have a handover session. And the handover session, I'm not finished, and I'm hoping to add some things to it. And I'm asking you, whoever's watching the video or whoever is here today, please have a look. I want to create a wonderful handover for every position, because I find that that is the biggest battle in clubs. When new people come on board, they don't have access to emails, they don't have access to Facebook page, they don't have access to all kinds of things because there wasn't a proper handover. So please make sure that those are critical parts that are being handed over. Then within that handover session, the way I am learning is a wonderful way in which to hand over is not the outgoing people handing over to the incoming people, but the incoming people handing over to the outgoing people. And I know that messes with your head because it did with mine. So how are you going to do that? That means you are forcing the incoming people to know exactly what they're supposed to do. They need to create a little handover. They need to say, okay, I as VPE or treasurer, I need to make sure that the invoices go out by the 1st of July. I need to have some specials for people that pay early. You know, they must tell you what they need to do because they have asked questions, they've read the manual, they've done things, because this forces them to do the things. And then the current treasurer can, or if maybe they say, I need to send the invoices out at the end of September, then the current treasurer can say, no, you can't do that. If you send the invoices out the end of September, people won't have money to pay. You've got to send the invoices out the 1st of July so that people have the capacity to pay over 3 months or whatever the case may be, or make use of specials, etc. And that's when they get some pushback on their presentation. And that's when they know, do I have the username and password for this email, the treasurer's email or the secretary email or whatever the case may be. So I trust you understand that concept, and that is brilliant in order to make sure people are handing over, the people that are handing over became knowledgeable of what they're supposed to do lying ahead, and the people that they're handing over to are the ones that are exiting that can tell them you're missing something here or you're missing something there. Well, that's brilliant. Now, that is then all the way through. I want to just take you to one more website. Let me just quickly find that to coordinate you on that. Let me just make sure this one.
You're leading, you're influencing people. It does not matter whether you pay them or not. I believe this to the core of my being. I have led in volunteer organizations. I've been an executive in paid organizations, professional organizations, and I work with leaders all over the world at every level. And I will tell you this truth. Everyone is a volunteer. But I have never met a leader, a club president, a manager, a CEO who said, David, if I could just get the minimum amount of effort out of my team, we'd be on fire. We don't want the minimum. We want that discretionary effort. We want that choice, that creativity, that problem solving, that above and beyond. That's what we want. Well, when we start with the premise that everyone is a volunteer and recognize that everyone has a choice to do what they're doing, and that everything that they do is a gift that they are choosing to contribute, that changes the game.
I will be giving you the link to this. It has it has Review the Digital Club Officer Kit. It has a club officer kit that you will find down here. And I'm just taking you to the top. It says, congratulations, incoming club officers. And then it gives you guidance here. You do not have to read all of this, but just at least go down to the bottom where you find this portion of what you need to do and some self-training that you can do. These little points at the bottom here, there's your video, and then there's some extra articles that you can read. And that concludes the training for today. Now you can ask if there are any other questions you have. Let me know, and let's interact and let's take it further. Lynette, did you find anything that I helped remind you of, or what is there that you need to remind me of?
I think you've covered it, and I think that video is like really, really useful. And so I do think you've covered it. And what people tend to forget is to make a ceremony out of the induction ceremony for the new incoming people, to actually ceremonially hand over and to make a bit of a hoo-ha out of that. And it's a great idea if you're in quickly enough to invite your incoming area director. So it's a chance for him to come and meet you, for you to meet him, and for him to do your club's installation ceremony. If you can get the division director, even better. But the area director is a great person to do that.
That's true. Now, most of the places already know who their division director, which one would be their division director. They might not know who the area director is. So if you do get the division director, they can guide you to the area director or the potential area director. Okay. Pleasure, Edith. And yes, Riapone, please unmute yourself and share your question.
Thank you so much for the session, Granny B. I just wanted to check if we have a set format of a report that the ExCo can use, similar to the ones that they are given to the area directors and division directors and all that, so that we don't have to maybe start being creative when there's something already there.
That is what I'm trying to put together, because I have seen, you see, if you read the handbook, for every position, there is a little statement here or there that they make about what you need to, that you need to hand over, and some points that they suggest on what you need to hand over. But there isn't just a simple tick form regarding every position that I have found. Unless anybody else here has found it. And if anybody finds it, let me know, because I'm trying to make one so that I don't have to reinvent the wheel. And when I do post it, that anybody could add to it, and let's get that form well sorted out. So I trust that answers your question.
Yes, thank you, Granny B.
Okay, anybody else there? Well, if there are no more questions and there are no statements, then I think it's time to switch on your cameras and let's just do the social thing. Let's greet each other and have a good weekend. There you go, Edith, Rebone, Lester. Who else is there? Buyu. See you all. Lester. You can unmute and say goodbye. We can make a noise. We can talk over each other. You know that's how I am. Stanley. Yeah, I need to connect with you guys. Buyu. Bye-bye. Rebone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You all have a wonderful weekend and thank you for attending the training. Lots of love to you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
You're sick. Good to see you.
I can't put my camera on because I just took a nap, so I'm all sleepy and not
you're
presentable. So, next time.
Okay.
The links to that video, and there was another link that you mentioned.
Yes, I'm just doing that little Word document and I'll save it as a PDF and I'll throw it on the VPE group and shove it up in the cloud there for us.
Perfect.
So that we have it for future.
Okay.
Because I don't have everything, but I'm hoping that we can get somewhere. I might just send the checklist to you to just glance over and maybe you can add, or do you have a checklist handy yet?
I have a checklist, but I'm not sure if it's the one that came from you or if it's one I created. I see it's dated. It's succession planning, passing the baton from 2020 April. So I don't know if I created it or if I've copied it from you. I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
You can have a look at it.
Okay, let's do this.
All right. Cool.
Help everybody with whatever we can find. Hey? Okay.
Thanks then. Okay.
Bye. Bye-bye. Rusik,
Bye.
it was good to see you. Stanley, bye-bye. Nosipo, it was good
Bye-bye,
to connect
Granny.
with you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye. I'm closing the meeting. Bye.